slightly different version of Banned, Challenged, and Burned. It is Banned Book Month and into Banned Book Week. And what am I talking about today? I'm talking about one that's kind of out in the ether, getting tossed around and getting attention. And that is Alice Oseman's Heartstopper series and the novella Nick and Charlie. Now, why is this sweet little series, this sweet little comic series, being banned and challenged over the country, in various parts of the country? So the Heartstopper series was brought to my attention when the novella Nick and Charlie was challenged by a student from Maine. Now, why was this challenged? Well, because of one particular scene in here where the main characters are getting ready for an intimate moment, which is perfectly understandable, especially considering that moment is right at the very end of the novel. But one of the things that the student complained about was that after he brought it to the attention, I guess, of the librarian who recommended it, and was then recommended the graphic novels. Honestly, I think that kid would have been better off reading the graphic novels. He probably was. This starts from the two main characters meeting, becoming friends, falling in love, and dealing with all the issues within that, as opposed to a very rough spot in their relationship, as one of them is finishing school and the other one is having to come to grips with that, and they have a near breakup, and yeah, I think we would have been better off starting from volume 1. But why has Heartstopper? Why is this being challenged? Well, I found 3 instances of this series being challenged. Let's see, where was the first one? Well, one of the most recent instances was back in August in Mississippi. It was Columbia Marion County Public Library. It was moved temporarily from the library shelves after a mother looked at the back of the book and deemed it inappropriate because of sexual situations and called it pornographic because it was LGBTQ and there were boys kissing. Another instance, Clay County School District in Florida back in March. No, I didn't see any reasons for it, but probably for the same reasons, because it's LGBTQ and boys kissing. In April 2023, this year, South Carolina Middle School Book Fair removed it from the book fair after, I guess, a few parents complained about foul language, graphic content, and not age-appropriate content and themes, i.e. LGBTQ and boys kissing. And I did find an interesting one too. A Hungarian retailer in July was fined for selling the Heartstopper series without having it wrapped in plastic to protect innocent eyes from LGBTQ themes and boys kissing. Just to compare, the Berserk series is wrapped in plastic for reasons because of nudity, sexual content, violence, and such. There is no nudity in Heartstopper. Whatever violence is in here is mild. Basically, at one point in here, after Charlie gets onto the rugby team, he has a moment where he's encountering a boy that he had been sort of seeing, and that boy is pressuring him and not being very nice and forcing kisses on him. Nick was following him out of concern, and after he hears Charlie say, "No, stop," he intervenes, grabs the boy, pushes him away. And there's another instance in, I think it's volume 2, where Nick punches a boy who's being particularly nasty. Yeah, so it's basic teenage angst. Whereas in Berserk, people are getting decapitated and exploded and among other things. That's not in here. Now, I'm not one for actively going out of my way to read young adult fiction. Most of it doesn't really appeal to me, but when I heard this series and Nick and Charlie were being subject to challenges and bans, I got curious. So what I did, I went to one of the bookstores in the area and I just kind of skimmed through the illustrations and I thought, these are so cute. The illustrations, they're just so adorable. Just as an example, these are the two main characters when they officially meet. It's so cute. Let's see, what was the lady looking at? I think she picked up volume 2. Let me read the back of this just so we can get an idea of what this Mississippi mother read and was so offended by. Boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. Shy and soft-hearted Charlie Spring sits next to rugby player Nick Nelson in class one morning. A warm and intimate friendship follows, and that soon develops into something more for Charlie, who doesn't think he has a chance. But Nick is struggling with feelings of his own, and as the two grow closer and take on the ups and downs of high school, they come to understand the surprising and delightful ways in which love works. That doesn't scream pornography and sexual content to me. Let me see. Maybe the offense was in volume 2. Let's see. Nick and Charlie are best friends, but one spontaneous kiss has changed everything. In the aftermath, Charlie thinks that he's made a horrible mistake and ruined his friendship with Nick, but Nick is more confused than ever. Love works in surprising ways, and Nick comes to see the world from a new perspective. He discovers all sorts of things about his friends, his family, and himself. Kissing is not sexual content. The fact that it's two boys kissing does not make it sexual content. Let's see if it was volume 3. Let's see. Charlie didn't think Nick could ever like him back, but now they're officially boyfriends. Nick has even found the courage to come out to his mom. But coming out isn't something that happens just once, and Nick and Charlie tried to figure out when to tell their friends that they're dating. Not being out to their classmates gets even harder during a school trip to Paris. As Nick and Charlie's feelings get more serious, they'll need each other more than ever. It still doesn't get any more serious than kissing. And there's no mention of any sexual content on the back here. Nope, just kissing. And since it's a school trip, boys are roomed with boys, girls are roomed with girls. And they don't even sleep in the same bed for the most part. And when they do end up sleeping in the same bed, it's just sleeping. Let's see, perhaps it's in volume 4. Somehow my cover got messed up. Charlie and Nick's relationship has been going really well, and Charlie thinks he's ready to say those 3 little words. I love you. Nick feels the same way, but he's got a lot on his mind, especially the thought of coming out to his dad and the fact that Charlie might have an eating disorder. As a new school year begins, Charlie and Nick will have to learn what love really means. Yeah, still no sexual content. Kissing is not sexual content. Eating disorders is not sexual content. So nothing on the back of these books seems really inappropriate. In fact, it seems rather lovely. These 2 young men meeting, coming to like each other, and eventually coming to love each other and supporting each other, and it's really lovely, and all the pictures are very lovely. I can't tell you how many times I would finish reading a section and go, oh my god, they're so freaking cute. I think I must have said it 100 times by now. Now certainly, this parent couldn't have been looking at this one, because it seemed to me that they were looking specifically at the comics. Let's see. Nick and Charlie is a novella, and it takes place, I think, a couple years, or a year and a half after volume 4, roughly. So basically Nick is graduating and Charlie's dealing with it. So let's see. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? Everyone knows that Nick and Charlie love their nearly inseparable life together, but soon Nick will be leaving for university and Charlie, a year younger, will be left behind. Everyone's asking if they're staying together, which is a stupid question, or at least that's what Nick and Charlie assume at first. As the time to say goodbye gets inevitably closer, both Nick and Charlie start to question whether their love is strong enough to survive being apart. Charlie is sure he's holding Nick back, and Nick can't tell what Charlie's thinking. Things spiral from there. Everyone knows that first loves rarely last forever. What will it take for Nick and Charlie to defy the odds? What inevitably comes down to is communication. And as Nick and Charlie's relationship develops, they learn to communicate better with each other, this being a hiccup in their relationship, which doesn't weaken it, but simply makes it stronger. And yeah, the actual word sex, or mentioning of the two having sex, is when, I think it's Nick remembering the first time. No, sorry, that was Charlie at the end. Nick was thinking about things me and Charlie do together at our houses, including basically watching videos, watching movies, just hanging out, doing homework, doing more homework, planning holidays, playing games, just hanging out. And I don't know, what's the drinking age in the UK? So in the UK, if you're under 18, you can't buy alcohol. Okay. Not legally, anyway. But teenagers always find a way. Yeah, back to the drinking thing. The two end up going to a party being held by one of the few jerks in the school, who happens to also be 18 and I guess legal to buy alcohol, though a number of the people present are underage a bit, but nothing bad happens except for Nick and Charlie Charlie getting drunk and freaking out about Nick potentially wanting to break up, and then they get into a weird argument where Nick basically runs out. Charlie thinks they've broken up, and Nick thinks they're broken up, and they're just not talking to each other. Just a case of, two people not communicating very well. Until a couple of Charlie's friends sit down and say, hey, this is dumb. You need to make up. So I only did tabs on volume 1 simply because didn't see the point in doing it for volumes 3 through 4. Excuse me, 2 through 4. This was just to get I guess set a baseline for what to expect. There is swearing. Teenagers do swear when they're not around their parents. Let's see, again, boys kissing. This one here was... yeah, that was just more swearing. And then this one here, when a boy named Ben, who's kind of manipulating and taking advantage of Charlie after he came out, and yeah, a real jerk. And what could have been very, very bad for Charlie had Nick not been worried and followed him and stopped it. Yeah. A great moment that shows that if you're worried about a friend, it's okay to step in if you're worried. Especially if they're in a bad situation where someone is literally assaulting them. Step in and say, hey, this is not cool, you need to stop. And get that person away from that bad situation. Let's see, this little green tab. This was just a nice little moment where 3 of Nick's friends were just kind of standing around on the rugby field watching Nick and Charlie, and one of them's like, but Nick's not gay, is he? And the other one's, well, I guess we don't know. And then the third one says, he doesn't look gay, and didn't he have a crush on that girl Tara Jones? And then the PE teacher, their rugby coach, steps in and says, "You can't tell whether people are gay by what they look like, and gay or straight aren't the only two options. Anyway, it's very rude to speculate about people's sexuality." And then she tells me to go home. Let's see, what was this one? I think this was just more swearing. Oh yeah, it was a great moment where Charlie stands up for himself when approached by Ben at a party. Nice little moment where he shows a bit of strength. And then this little moment is, yeah, just this beautiful frame of Nick against some flowers. There's great use of leaves and flowers throughout the series. Like, leaves kind of like, things are not great. There's a moment of snow, which I guess it's like passing of season, but the leaves thing, it's all very, things are not okay. But when the flowers come out, things are awesome. So yeah, that's Nick and Charlie's first kiss, and I love how the panels just kind of explode. God, they're all so cute. Yeah, volume 2, some more kissing, some cuddling, more of Nick's friends making assumptions about their friend, and the coach jumping in and just kind of breaking it up. We've got some of Charlie's friends being worried about Charlie. Oh, yeah, one of the things I kind of glossed over from the first one, when Charlie initially came out at school, he was bullied really badly and left a lot of trauma. And Ben didn't help with that at all. I think there was some insecurities from Charlie with regards to a girl that Nick kind of had a crush on. Very cool, and has her own girlfriend who is she's a card. Just good stuff. The guys hanging out, Nick coming out to his mom, who is just so lovely. The parents in the series are so wonderful. Let's see, 3. Yeah, that was Nick and Charlie trying to deal with coming out at school. The 3 of Nick's friends who were kind of speculating, just kind of saying, hey, we're not like that jerk who was picking on Charlie. This is also where Nick kind of starts noticing some things not going well with Charlie with regards to eating, and kind of stress with all the insecurities from being bullied and coming out and all that. And then volume 4 kind of goes into more lovely relationship stuff. A little more with Charlie's sister Tori, who I adore. I need to get her story, Alice Oseman's Solitaire novel. I need to find out what's up with Tori. Charlie finally telling Nick that he loves him. Nick getting some help from his mom about talking to Charlie about his mental health, and then helping Charlie tell his parents about his mental health, and finally getting some treatment. It's all very lovely. And then Nick coming out to his dad, who seems like he's distant but understanding, or at least willing to understand. Nick also has a brother who's a bit of a jerk. Tori is a wonderful big sister. Now, Volume 5 doesn't come out until November, so can't speak to how it ends. There are some of the comics online on Alice Oseman's webtoons or webcomics. And it does show Nick and Charlie's first moment. Connective moment. And it is more PG than the most PG soap opera love scene that you can possibly imagine. Yeah, and there's a great moment when 2 of Nick's female friends prepare him for going a little further when they're ready by helping him buy condoms and lube, which is hilarious. And also very responsible. Wow, showing teenagers being responsible about sex. Who'd have thought? But yeah, as I said, more PG than the most PG soap opera love scene. There is no nudity. No nudity. In volumes 1 through 4, there is no nudity. There's bare legs, there's some bare chests, girls and boys in tasteful bathing suits and outfits. It's all very, very tasteful. In fact, most of them wear too much clothing. Now in Nick and Charlie, the problematic portion, as I mentioned, is at basically the end of the book. It is starts on page 147 and ends on 148, and this is after a whole lot of angst, a whole lot of being separated and trying to figure out continuing to feel out their relationship and their feelings for one another, and they basically go for 2 weeks without contact. Both of them just going through exams, studying for exams, taking exams, and not communicating with each other when they really should have been communicating with each other. At one point, Charlie does try, but the pictures that he's sending are not going through because Nick's phone is damaged. So the communication kind of gets lost. Yeah. And again, Tori kind of comes to the rescue a little bit and helps Charlie out. But again, these are two young men, I'm assuming 17 and 18 respectively. Two consenting young men. Again, this is probably the most PG love scene I've ever read. Now, the young man who was complaining about Nick and Charlie was an 11-year-old middle schooler, so a 6th grade middle schooler. 6th grade really doesn't belong in middle school. Middle school is too stupid for 6th graders. Just from experience, my 6th grade was still elementary school, and I know in some areas of the country that that's not feasible. So yeah, middle school is hard enough with young people going through puberty, and having 11-year-olds wandering around middle school I don't think is very good. 6th grade, they should be preparing for middle school. Not in middle school. But then again, if I were a middle schooler and I came across Nick and Charlie or the Heartstopper series, I think I would have loved these. I think I would have loved these if I'd gotten to read these as a middle schooler. Because, I mean, these are definitely young adults. The font is a reasonable size. You can probably read it from here. It jumps between perspectives, so you've got sections that are Charlie, sections that are Nick. There's no chapter numbers, so it's just jumps from Nick, Charlie, and it's all in their voices. There's a lot of spacing. The words are not complicated. In fact, in the back there's some info from the publisher about various Briticisms that some young Americans might not know about, like 6th form, year 10 maths, A-levels, college versus university, and so on and so on. And yeah, I think the young man who complained would have been less offended by reading volume 1 of Heartstopper. Again, there's no nudity, there's no sex, it's just kissing, and there's very little of that too in volume 1, which also kind of made me think about that particular challenge, the one from Maine, with regards to Nick and Charlie, because the boy read the passage from that I mentioned. He read it and he didn't finish the whole thought, and there's no context for anything. It is, again, it is the most PG of love scenes. And again, showing two young people going into it with protection, because character mentions reaching for a condom, which is more than what most romance novels write. Most of the time they don't bother. But what was kind of concerning to me was I think in that video where the father, after the boy does the reading and the complaining, at like the board meeting, there's another complaint made about Maya Kobabe's genderqueer, which kind of bothered me a little bit, because it sounded like almost that there are kids being sent into their school libraries looking for LGBTQ themed novels or queer themed books and are being sent in to out them. Sort of like a new kind of witch hunt. So yeah, that's concerning. I don't even understand this one. This one is very tame. It's very innocent. I mean, look at this. Innocent. Innocent. Oh my god, they're holding hands. How innocent. Oh no, they're hugging. How innocent. Oh, one of them's sleeping, the other one's reading. How innocent. So yeah, dear parents, let your kids read. Doesn't matter what they're reading, just let them read. If they have questions, answer those questions. Don't freak out. Read it with them if you have to, so you can understand what's going on. Heartstopper has no business being challenged. Neither does genderqueer, for that matter. What was the other complaint? Sexual situations. As of Volume 4, there's no sexual situations. There is a brief mentions of sexual situations in Nick and Charlie, but it is very PG. There's descriptions of absolutely nothing. There's no anatomy beyond hips and hair. Yeah, it's funny. The kid stops reading at the bottom of the page. Nick touches me like he's scared that any minute I could disintegrate forever. Yeah. So basically the next step in these boys' relationship is marriage. Inappropriate for age group. This is young adult, so we'll say 13 to 24 or older, because I think this is a lovely, lovely series. Boys kissing is not pornography. Boys holding hands is not pornography. Boys cuddling fully clothed is not pornography. In every instance that I've seen of people challenging Heartstopper, it seems that absolutely none of them have actually read Heartstopper to see the full message. See a young man being needlessly bullied, another young man standing up for that boy when he is being assaulted, a very PG assault, but it's still an assault, standing up for friends, supporting friends, talking about dealing with eating disorders and other mental health issues, supporting each other in hard times. So yeah, that's all I have for that. On a more happy, fun note, when I started this month, I had only had Nick and Charlie and volumes 1 and 2, and I needed to go get 3 and 4, so I went to go get 3 and 4 at my Barnes & Noble, and up to the register and checked out, and the ringer pulled out a bag. I was fully prepared to carry the books out, as I usually do, and got a free tote bag with the Nick and Charlie cover art and a cover art on the side. Very cool. Huh. Didn't realize that. Interesting. And then this one, this lovely, lovely thing, which I need to get framed now. Yeah, the cover art for Nick and Charlie. Yeah, this is very sweet. And was wholly unexpected and kind of made my day. I will say, if you haven't read Heartstopper, and if you're at all curious, I do highly recommend Heartstopper. I do. The illustrations are adorable. The story is adorable. Nick and Charlie are so freaking cute. All the characters are adorable. Except for the jerks. They're not adorable. They serve their purpose, and they're in there just brief enough. This is proper loveliness. Thank you for watching. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful time reading, and see you in the next one.